It was a Friday night and I was scrolling through my phone when I opened the TikTok app. I scrolled through it, then noticed I had a message. I opened the message and it was from a guy called Frank. He said, "You were looking beautiful at the mall today." I blocked him instantly as I felt a shiver run up my spine. I just put it down to some creep trying to freak me out, so I didn't pay much more attention to it. The next day I was in the mall with my friends, and we were just walking after coming down the escalator when a man was standing in front of me as I got off. I said, "Excuse me," very politely. He turned around and said, "I'm very sorry for blocking you. Please pass." His words, "very sorry for blocking you," sounded so creepy. It felt as if he was the guy who had sent me the message last night. But how could that be? I told my friends, and they agreed it all sounded a bit creepy the way he worded it. I was hoping it was just a coincidence. That night when I went home, I received another message, which must have been the same guy. This time he said, "You shouldn't have blocked me." He must have set up a new account to just send me that. I jumped when I suddenly heard a noise outside my door. There was a piece of wood stuck up against it, with "You're blocked" written on it. I was shaking with fear and went to my window to try to get out, but I knew it was too high, and when I looked down, I could see the man below from the mall staring right up at me. I rang the police and stayed in my room until they came. When they arrived, the wood was gone from my door, and the man was nowhere to be seen. I couldn't understand the wood disappearing from my door. Then suddenly I woke up. Everything was dark. I know now what woke me. It was my phone. I answered it and could hear a man's voice. As I was saying, "You shouldn't have blocked me," I screamed, "Let me out, let me out." The man said, "There is a straw in your coffin on the ground. I will be taking that straw out in just under 5 minutes. There had been oxygen pumped into your coffin, but when that's gone, I'm afraid you're on your own. But I threw you a lifeline. I sent your friend a message on TikTok, telling her where you are. If they're a real friend, they will find their way here to save you. But then again, they will need to bring a shovel, etc. So the time is ticking. Tick tock, tick tock," he said in a very creepy voice. Then there was silence. What seemed like an hour later, I could hear police sirens, and I thanked God my friend had rang them and got here on time. I was afraid after that to ever go on TikTok again. The man's voice rang in my ears. Tick tock, tick tock. Hello, my name is William. For as long back as I can remember, I have this strange feeling that someone is stalking me. But the last few months the feeling had gotten much stronger. Strong enough that wherever I go, whatever I am doing, I can expect to see a shadow. It's like a silhouette. I can't make out no features. It is ruining everything I love to do. I love cycling for miles and miles, but even if I'm cycling on a bike, I can feel the shadow behind me, and even a lot of times, see it. I felt like I was going crazy. One night I was kissing my girlfriend, and that damn shadow showed up and I got a start and jumped, frightening my girlfriend. She must have thought I was so weird, and I couldn't explain it to her. How is she going to feel about me? I say, oh, by the way, a lot of the time I see a shadow chasing me. That is a sure and fast track way of making her my ex. One day I couldn't take it anymore, so I went to see a doctor who was able to help me find out what the hell was going on with me. The doctor said, "Hello, William. My name is Dr. Frederick Stone. I am going to try to help you get to the bottom of what is bothering you by using a method called regression hypnosis. Some doctors claim to go back so far in a person's life that they may even uncover things about any past lives they might have had. But I'm sure we won't have to go back that long. You see, William, what I feel like is happening you from what you told me over the phone is you are suppressing memories that cause you pain, but sometimes those memories are coming to the surface in the shape of a shadow that you imagine. It is your subconscious telling you there is a problem that you're trying to forget. After a few minutes I was in a hypnotic state, and I could see myself back in my house in a dark room with my twin brother. We were only kids and we were playing murder in the dark. It was a game that you had to search around the dark and touch someone to kill them. That's only in the game, of course. That's how I can remember playing it anyway. I pushed my twin brother too much and didn't realise there was something in front of him to trip him, and he fell down on the ground and banged his head. I could just hear the bang, but didn't realise what had happened until I put the light on and saw my twin brother lying in a pool of blood. And he was really dead. It all came flooding back to me now, and I woke up in the doctor's office with my blood thumping in my ears. I now know that it was not my imagination when I saw my doctor give a strange look behind me, and I turned around and saw the silhouette behind me, and knew my doctor saw it too. The difference is now I know that that silhouette is the ghost of my dead twin brother. Pat was relaxing at home, enjoying a glass of whiskey, when he received a text. He opened it up, and there was a photo of his wife and daughter and son tied to a chair. He froze in fear. It had written underneath, "Look under your bed. There is a burner phone attached to the left side. There is one number programmed into it. When that number rings, there will be instructions on how you can stop your family getting executed. If you go to the police, your family will be dead, so don't try anything stupid." A few minutes later, Pat had retrieved the burner phone from under his bed. He wondered should he call the number before receiving a call. He decided to call it, but there was no answer. A few seconds later, he received a message. It read, "I told you, when the number rings, there will be instructions. Don't call this number again." Pat was wondering, should he call the police, but decided not to. It must be some maniac has his family. What sort of sane person would do something like this, he told himself. A few minutes later, the phone rang. The voice on the other end said, "Hello, Pat. You will have one chance to let your family live. If you mess up that chance, then you can kiss goodbye to your family, and you will never ever see them alive again. There is no GPS in this phone, but put in the following address. I text you into your GPS tracking on your own phone, and you will be able to have your chance of saving your family. Remember, don't go to the police. If you do go to the police, I can guarantee you right now that your family will not survive an hour after you telling the police. Now, we're not going to waste any time, so you can come to the address I message you as soon as you receive it, which should be right after I hang up. The phone went dead, and sure enough, a few seconds later, an address was sent to the burner phone. Pat put the address into his GPS tracking device and jumped in his car and went there. The address was an old, unused warehouse outside of town. He wondered was his family kept captive inside. As soon as he parked the car, the burner phone rang. "Hello, Pat. The door is open and will lock when you are inside. Walk in. I'll stay on the phone." As soon as Pat was inside the door, it banged and locked behind him, and the man spoke again. "Well, Pat, you might see an ordinary-looking room with different things around it and dots on the ground. Well, Pat, you were going to play a special game I designed myself, which is called Join the Dots. I was inspired by the classic game Join the Dots, hence the reason I have dots on the ground. You have to walk from each dot to the end of the room. Different things will happen you as you step on each dot. I will tell you what they are just before you step on each dot. But remember, Pat, don't try to do this fast. You will know why soon. Well, the first dot, Pat, when you pass it, there is going to be a burst of fire pop up from the floor. Also, I almost forgot, you don't have to finish any of these dots, and you won't be harmed in any way if you don't even complete the first one. But on the other hand, your family will be all executed by being shot in the head. Now, to make it even more exciting, there is a time limit. If you don't get it done in the time limit, which is 2 minutes, then you can forget about ever seeing your family alive again. Well, the game begins now. Pat was in shock with what was happening. He shouted into the phone, "You sick bastard, leave my family alone." The man said, "Pat, drop your phone, you don't need it. I can speak through the speakers now. You have enough on your plate besides holding a phone. By the way, Pat, the time is ticking." Pat walked fast towards the dot, and when he stepped on it, a large burning flame went up through his body and ended so fast he hadn't even caught on fire. He was walking towards the next dot, and a voice spoke. "This dot is going to release nails under your feet, long enough to make you feel a lot of pain, trust me." Pat stepped on the dot and screamed in pain when 2 large nails went right through his feet. He walked on towards the other dot. There was only one more after that. He could do it, he told himself. The man said, "The next dot, Pat, will be shards of glass forced out a chute right towards you for a few seconds." Pat walked on the dot, and shards came flying at him for what seemed like hours, but were only seconds. He reached the final dot, and wondered what it was. He was told, "This is going to be a surprise, Pat. There will be 2 holes, just big enough for you to put your arms through. Just roll up your sleeves and put them through." Pat put his arms through it, hoping for it to be over. He was in fear that he was going to get his arms cut right off, but suddenly he felt a needle prick his arm. Then he felt like floating on air. He heard the voice say, "Now, Pat, I can't get my daughter back. but this makes me feel a little better. You might ask why the dots? Why join the dots? Well, I'll tell you why. Why? Because of all the dots from needle marks, or train tracks as they call them, in my deceased daughter's arms, from your drugs you pumped her with, and so many other people. Well, now you're going to feel what it's like to be in pain. I wondered should I give you enough till you overdose, but I had a better idea. I wanted you to experience a high before the low. You're high as a kite now, I know, but when you come down, when you come out of the clouds, you will be able to see the pain you have caused. You're going to wake up to your family dead from your poison. You see, Pat, each dot you stepped on, a person injected your poison into your family, and I'm sure they were dead by the second one. Well, on their way, but very good you did 4. And good for me that it takes time for them to die. Do you remember I said you would never see your family alive again if you didn't step on the dots? I meant it. You will see your family alive. The wall raised and Pat could see his family tied to a chair, slipping more and more out of this world, with needles stuck in their arm. He knew within minutes or seconds they would be dead. The man said, "Now you know what your poison does to people's families."